Greetings, everyone. It's great to be with you again. Thanks for everything you're doing, by the way, of learning to grow and master your lives, meditating daily, being of service, facing various challenges in your life, seen and unseen. It's great to be with you again. So at this time, we'll begin our presentation on Mystical Statuary of the World 5. By way of introduction, I'll mention that the human visage, hand gestures, and form can be keys to draw forth and realize the presence of the divine within, the master within. We will see how this urge for illumination has expressed itself through sculpture for the great enrichment of us all and in the remembrance of our true nature. We'll consider an early stone sculpture of the Buddha, John Wilson's Eternal Presence, and David Ruben's Piqtoukun's People of the Midnight Sun, and some sculpture at Chartres Cathedral. In this manner, we'll experience how Rosicrucian laws and principles can make a great difference in understanding what appears before us and within us. You'll see before you now quite a remarkable sculpture of the Buddha. On a trip to visit some of our family members in India, I had very much in mind when we visited some of the family who live in Kolkata to go and see the Indian Museum, because it's renowned for some of its sculptures of the Buddha, including from the Gandhara period. It's works that are from, we call now northwestern Pakistan and East Afghanistan. There was a strong influence of both Greek and Buddhist traditions in the sculpture there. So you see some elements of Western sculptural techniques and motifs, but also the Eastern corresponding methods as well. Kind of a wonderful merging and blending there. You'll see before us, and this will help prepare us for our meditation, that the sacred hand gesture of the Buddha, including the Abhaya mudra in the right hand, it's a mudra of protection and fearlessness and peace. And in the left hand, lower down, is the Varada mudra, or sacred gesture. The wishes are granted mudra. So it's a powerful combination together. We see that we're being given a divine blessing, a sign of benevolence and also protection of a higher power. In a way, we're looking upon ourselves when we see this sculpture. It's also an indication of nonviolence. That is, the commitment of the Buddha and ourselves can be to nonviolence, the ability to transform hostility into harmony, our deeper understanding and wisdom. Spiritual power that's conveyed, interpreted as a level of authority that we come into as we come into wisdom. We become living, radiant embodiment of the inner mystical tradition. Rosicrucians refer as the rose floss state. And much of our teachings of the Rosicrucian order are gathered from spiritual figures of the past, such as the Buddha. And as we go deeper into our understanding, we're able to understand all mystical and spiritual traditions much more easily. You can see the sculpture conveys a great calmness, tranquility, imperturbability, equanimity that we'll come into when we do our meditation. An inner strength and confidence that comes from the experience of the cosmic consciousness or from enlightenment. A related sculpture has greatly intrigued me over the years. I first saw a depiction of it in a book on philosophies East that my brother had. And this work we see before us, and it's in remarkable good state of preservation. It's from the Gupta dynasty, and following the Gandhara style, you'll see again a great aura-like medallion representing the sun, but also you'll see elements of the lotus associated with the cosmic consciousness or the higher consciousness. There's wonderful carving in stone, shows flower arrangements. In a way, it's a symbol of the cosmos and the symbol of unity and infinity through the circle. Buddha wears a monastic robe, and it's very light. You can see like the U-shaped patterns in it. It's very light, but also gives you a sense of tremendous radiant force of energy, the inner spiritual sun shining forth. The hand has come off, but it's the same mudra associated with the Haya and also the Virata that we see, both the giving and receiving, the divine blessing, the non-violence, and the spiritual power. Let's take a look at both of these sculptures together. And you can see their strong parallels. Again, in a way, we're looking at ourselves. So let's bear this in mind as we ascend to the heights of the celestial sanctum. That we're looking at ourselves transformed in an inner spiritual way. Great confidence and understanding, capacity to be healed and to be healing. You'll notice on the head the cranial protuberance, which is associated with the top chakra, coming into the enlightenment for the full functioning of the subtle physiology of the body. We'll also notice the elongated ears associated with the story of the Buddhas with the enlightened ones' royalty. And the earrings are heavy, they've elongated the ear. But the Buddha, at the time, went out from his palace and he had an awakening. He saw how privileged he was and how he must work to help to alleviate the suffering of others, just like we must so work. Lower down in the work, you'll also see the wonderful work that's been done in the carving of the stone, the details of the hands. The figure of the Buddha appears like an androgynous figure, embracing all genders, moving duality or multiplicity to the unity that we come into in a state of wisdom. All these things and more through the law of suggestion are being given to us. We can also look at close up the Buddha's head. This is a work that's been displayed at the Tantra Madhep of Rashtrapi Bhavna, the presidential palace in New Delhi. It's a wonderful work, and it's one that's repays us to look at very carefully and sense what's going on. You notice even in the fine hairstyling, each protuberance, the hair, is in a spiral formation, moving sunwise or clockwise to indicate the great harmony of the Buddha or our inner nature with the cosmic state of what the Rosicrucians refer to harmonium. With these inspiring conceptions in mind from this early stone Buddhist sculptures that we've been looking at, let's have a period of meditation to apply what we've learned. At this time, I invite you to turn inward, and however you're situated, seated or standing up, or however you wish to meditate, the most important thing is that you can be comfortable and you can breathe in an unencumbered way. I invite you at this time to close your eyes and just follow the gentle rhythm of your breath, the incoming of the breath and the outgoing of the breath. Just like the dual action of the two mudras, Abhaya mudra, protection, fearlessness, and peace, and the Virata mudra, or grant wishing. They form a polarity just like our incoming and outgoing breath. Our breathing is part of the cosmic keyboard for the Rosicrucian lessons. It all manifests itself through vibration. This is our breath is vibration. Our entire being and nature is through vibration. And we attune with others in the cosmic, that is, divine intelligence back to the cosmos and all natural and spiritual laws, through our receptivity and the law of attunement and cosmic attunement. Tuning in on vibrations. Just enjoy the gentle rhythm of your breath, either holding the illumination, inhalation, or the exhalation. But I invite you to extend your exhalation longer than your inhalation. You'll find this has a highly tonic effect, where it stimulates the great vagus nerve that works with the autonomic nervous system that we learned so much about in our weekly studies of the Rosicrucians. The autonomic nervous system is a unity. It arises through the law of polarity, the law of duality. The sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. One helps us with action, the other helps us with discernment, decision-making, reflection, contemplation. Our life is made up of a dual balance of each. And just like as we ride a bicycle, we have the two handlebars, the left and the right, to guide us through the streets and through the path in our life. So we have our two poles of our autonomic nervous system to guide us. And this period of meditation will help bring us into autonomic balance. And when there's a perfect autonomic balance, there's a stage of and phase of enlightenment, just like we saw the enlightened being of the Buddha, our Buddha with nature, our divine nature before us in the sculpture. Just as the sculptor and those in the tradition are inspired by their experiences of the cosmic consciousness and then emulated in sculpture for us to understand, so too we're called to be sculptors, creators, to emulate our cosmic experiences that we have during meditation and through meditation. Just continue to enjoy the gentle rhythm of your breath, either holding the inhalation or exhalation. I invite you to breathe a little deeper, take in even more of the vital life force and its positive polarity, the cosmic essence, and feel the tingling that causes in the body. Enriching, healing, making whole action. Breathe in, and you can feel the increasing presence, the divine within, the master within, our inner self. We gazed upon in the sculpture of the Buddha. And with the outgoing of the breath, we feel the increasing relaxation, imperturbability, tranquility, calmness that is so necessary for the healing and making whole process to take place. I know it can be a tall order to be calm when we're very stressed and anxious, and we're in need of healing in our body and our mind and whole nature. But if we can let go, as we do during meditation, and be calm, it'll hasten the healing. As in so much in our life, if we can be but calm, we'll draw forth the inner self, our integrated state. The seeming mountains will become molehills in mastery. Once we start to experience that in our life, it reinforces us in confidence. Soon we'll ascend to the heights of the celestial sanctum and enter into the same deep state that was portrayed before us in the standing Buddha sculptures. We'll follow the instructions of the Rosicrucian booklet, paper 777, which will give you resources on later near the end of the presentation. It's a wonderful book to be aware of and keep returning to. It shows the fruits, cosmic attunement, and its emulation and the formulation, this particular form meditation central to Rosicrucian studies, the ascent and attunement of celestial sanctum. To begin our ascent, keeping with our extended breaths and exhalation, I invite you to say with me, following prayer and invocation, we continue to apply the law of purification. May the divine essence of the cosmic infuse my being and cleanse me of all impurities of mind and body, that I may enter the celestial sanctum and attune in pureness and in worthiness. So mote it be. I invite you to join me in rising up into the cosmic, that is the universal intelligence back of the cosmos, and in touch and aware of with all natural and spiritual laws. Let us visualize ourselves, picture ourselves rising up from our home or dwelling or office, wherever we're situated, up over our surrounding neighborhood and their homes, our geographic location. See the system and order and beauty below. Let us keep rising up faster and faster using great inner psychic capacity and our full imagination to rise up faster and faster, higher and higher. Now up over our city or town or local region, up over our province or state, even our great nation or country. You can see below the weather systems, the water system, the landforms. Let us rise up higher and higher, faster and faster. And see below our continent and even the hemisphere that we dwell on Earth. And now the entire great late spheroid, beautiful blue jewel of the Earth, rotating about its axis as we see its satellite, the moon, revolving about the Earth. Let us continue to move faster and faster, way beyond the speed of light as we transcend space and time now. I see the great fiery ball of the sun and the beautiful elliptical orbits of the planets of the solar system. As we pass our local home and rise up past myriad stars and stellar phenomena like quasars, the pulsars, black holes balancing the universe, the nebula, the rogue planets and asteroids. And let us apply now the law of correspondence as we go higher and higher into the cosmos. Let us have an equal action going deeper and deeper within ourselves. The very holy of holies, the presence of the divine within. Let us rise up faster and faster. Sense the great revolving action. Our great home, the Milky Way galaxy, our local galaxy. See the great arm of the galaxy that we're in, and let us pass right out from it. Look back at the great spiraling arms and its stupendous beauty and awe, its presence. Seeing how everything has been worked out with a wonderful cosmic and universal intelligence backup. The Rosicrucians have referred to as the cosmic. Let us look up and zoom past myriad stars and stellar phenomena, the great stellar web connecting the planets and the galaxies. Let us zoom past even clusters of galaxies, even clusters and clusters of galaxies known as astronomers and physicists as superclusters. Enjoy the exhilaration of the ascent. See how the great cosmic keyboard forms a wondrous music and action known since ancient times as the harmony of the spheres, the music of the spheres, which artists back on earth seek to imitate through divine attunement. Let us continue to rise up higher and higher, faster and faster, increasingly experience the vastness of the cosmos, which through the law of correspondence suggests the inner vastness of the infinite plane. Cosmic mind dwells, but it yet imbues the finite plane through the universe. Let's keep rising, enjoying the exhilaration of the ascent, using great inner spiritual force. Now is not the time to be passive. Soon we'll be passive when we reach the heights of the celestial sanctum. As we rise higher and higher, we can sense the great rotating action of the universe, revolving about a great cosmic axis spoken of since ancient times. And when you sense that great rotation of the universe, its stupendous harmony and order, sense the presence of the great cosmic axis and zoom towards its midpoint, its midway section. And when you reach it, slow up And let us dwell there a while. The great harmony, the great system, the great order all about us. And let us dwell in peace. This high point of consciousness. Following the instructions of the booklet Liber 777, you may wish to visualize now your personal sacred space, your personal celestial sanctum, which may be simply the temple of the cosmos, temple of the divine all around you, or maybe some inspiring temple back on earth, or some sacred natural setting back on earth. Fill in the sights and sound, your personal celestial sanctum now. You may wish to picture other seekers and those on this conference call with us. Grand Lodge and Supreme Grand Lodge officers of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc, the visible and invisible masters, all with us, all attuning the cosmic now, joined through the one universal soul. Feel in the sights and sounds, the psychic impressions, the sensory impressions, your sacred celestial sanctum. Feel the exhilaration of being at this high point of consciousness, at the center of the cosmos, the center of your being. And when you've filled in your visualization, release it through the subconscious mind into the cosmic mind. And dwell applying the law of silence. And feel all there is to feel. And surrender now. Now, as we continue to dwell in cosmic attunement, the heights of the celestial sanctum, I invite you to undertake a further spiritual operation of the work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc. Invite us to join in the work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace, the Grand Lodge of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc, by radiating love and well-being to all those who've petitioned the Grand Lodge for guidance and healing, and radiating love and well-being to all those who petition the affiliate bodies of the Rosicrucian Order Amorc for guidance and healing, and radiating love and well-being to all those who know are in guidance, in need of guidance and healing. And finally, let us radiate love and well-being to all sentient beings throughout the cosmos who are in need of guidance and healing. Just as we used great inner spiritual force to rise up to the heights of the celestial sanctum, first relying on our inner spiritual and psychic capacity and our imagination, increasingly switching over to the infinite plane and the divine within. Let us do likewise now to radiate out from the depths of our being love and well-being to all those aforementioned, like a great floodlight spreading out through the cosmos, healing, assisting in making whole, helping those attuned with the divine within. And feel the love and well-being flowing out at a tremendous rate from the infinite plane to the finite plane in manifestation, moving with great rapidity. Feel the exhilaration of the flow. At a certain point, I think you'll find it speeding up and you know it's reaching those in need. And at a certain point, you'll no longer need to make any conscious effort. So as we surrender to the divine within, the action will take place automatically. Just let the love and well-being flow now as we dwell at the heights of the celestial sanctum, applying the law of service and the law of cosmic attunement now. Soon we'll formally close our period of work, metaphysical aid, sure that the radiations will continue as a way of life, it's part of our mission in life. But we'll continue our meditation a while longer. Formally close the period of sending of metaphysical aid, I invite you to say with me, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done. So mote it be. Now let us dwell a while longer at the heights of the celestial sanctum in cosmic attunement. Sensing our mind merging with the cosmic mind. Our mind expanding into the cosmos to fill it, just as the rays of love and well-being has done so. So that we experience as the cosmic experiences. So we be the cosmic. Assume the cosmic now. Just feel all there is to feel. Surrender to the divine within. In eternity. Soon we'll begin our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum. This time we may wish to express our gratitude for this opportunity to be of service, to commune with the cosmic. Express our gratitude to all those who have taught us well, to all those who have loved us well, to all those who have set an example well for us, so we could likewise be an example. And to all those who have loved us well, awakening the deep love within us for all. I invite you now to begin the descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum, moving at tremendous speed, way beyond the speed of light, past the super clusters of galaxies, the nebulae, interstellar web connecting stars and galaxies, moving at tremendous speed and enjoying the harmony of the spheres, the music of the spheres, taking with us the cosmic attunement from the heights of the celestial sanctum as a way of life, radiating from metaphysical aid as a way of life. See in the distance the great spiraling arms of the Milky Way galaxy, our local home. So we plunge into the great arm where we dwell, past the myriad stars and planets, asteroids, comets. See in the distance the solar system, great fiery ball of the sun, beautiful blue jewel of the earth, the temple of the earth, the hemisphere where we left off, our continent, our great nation or country, our province or state, our geographic location or city or town, our neighborhood. And I invite you to say with me now this following prayer and invocation. May the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum. So mote it be. And let us continue now down on the dwelling where we left off, a home, building, or house, however we're situated. Back in the room where we left off, however situated in our chair or bed. Feeling the temple is the body, the holy temple, mirroring all other temples. Feeling remade, rejuvenated, regenerated, reintegrated, re-energized, and rested. You wish to open your eyes and stretch. Feel the vital life force flowing through the holy temple of your body. Feel the cosmic consciousness back, all forms of consciousness, including the self-consciousness now. We can look upon, again, the Buddha, this wondrous work in the 5th century CE, the Gupta dynasty, South Asia. And realize over the centuries and millennia, the timeless wisdom, the transcending of time, to reach back and understand as those have understood in the past and will understand in the future. And we'll continue our presentation now. Thank you. The next work of sculpture we'll consider is John Wilson's Eternal Presence. And you'll see before here a model for the larger work that I'll show you shortly. It was cast in bronze using the lost wax process in the Paul King Foundry in Rhode Island. The height of this particular model or maquette is about 101.6 centimeters, or about 40 inches high. It weighs about 600 pounds, so it's a large work in itself, and it's in the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. And befittingly, the main large work of Eternal Presence is in the Roxbury neighborhood in Boston, which I know many of you know well, and even have your Rosicrucian affiliate body, which I was fortunate to visit in Boston. Now, John Wilson was an inspired artist with various different traditions. He was a great teacher of art as well. You'll see an artwork like this, it comes up from a model, but there's various inspirations, various clothing up for impressions that we do when we've had a deep experience of the cosmic, that we need to emulate it, express it. And that emulation of the cosmic by the artist allows those to attune with the cosmic, which is ourselves, through John Wilson's attunement with the cosmic. One of his inspirations was actually a friend of his daughter, Roz. You'll see depicted on the left here. There's a sketch that was one of his subjects for developing his ideas for the subject called the eternal presence. The eternal presence gives us quite a fantastic idea. We just attuned an eternal presence at the heights of the celestial sanctum. And we can see all the more in this work that the figure has a timelessness, a sense of eternity, wisdom in the eyes, in a way representing all humanity, which the figure of Roz had as well, that he drew as a study in the medium of black and white pastel and charcoal on paper. That particular work was on the left is from 1972, but the one on the right was modeled in 1985 and cast in 1988. But over time, he was working on developing this major magnum opus for himself and his community. Related to influences in this sculpture as well, you may be fascinated by the Olmec heads of ancient times in Mesoamerica. They were also part of John Wilson's inspiration to form a great head in the landscape, a great marker and ritualistic presence. Similarly, John Wilson was very familiar with the Boston Museum of Fine Arts, one of the great collections of art in the world. And so here, he was looking at various Buddhist sculptures of Buddha, but also selected a work on the left here, seated Bodhisattva, dates from around 530 AD. Again, a wonderful work of Chinese sculpture. And if we zoom in on it, I think you'll see even more an affinity with the eternal presence. And indeed, both works convey a sense of the timeless, a sense of the full maturation of the human being. Another inspiring figure and influence for John Wilson, including for the eternal presence work, is by the Mexican muralists that John Wilson went and studied in Mexico, including the Rosicrucian student Diego Rivera. And we see on the left the work Flower Day from 1925, oil and canvas, that's at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. And you can see a similarity in the forming of the curves, the lines, and the facial expressions here in this important symbolic work of giving of the calla lilies. In a way, it's a sacred offering, and one that's on the dignity of work, just as we say in the Rosicrucian tradition of work and worship. Now, John Wilson used these inspirations and that model to finally make the full large work. And to do that, you'll see him depicted here. You can see the scale of the work. where he's making the final clay of eternal presence, or the clay that will be used in the last wax process, for which then the bronze can be poured into to make the metal to make the final work, which would then appear quite wondrously as follows. You'll see the work in its full presence here. It's on the grounds of the National Center of Afro-American Artists, 300 Walnut Street in Roxbury, Boston, Massachusetts. You can see the wonderful presence. It's something that's known very affectionately by the populace in the surrounding neighborhoods as the big head. And many people have grown up with it. And one father even each year he took pictures of his son as his son grew up every year. And there's the Big Head Festival. And people come to wash and clean the head and in a way pay homage to it because they much appreciate being able to see a sculpture in Boston that looks like them. It shows their African tradition and wisdom and heritage. But John Wilson meant it just like the Olmec head to be something of universal appeal to all people that can come into its presence. You notice the stillness it has, just like when we were still in meditation. This is the type, like the meditation momentum that we come out of from our practice in meditation. You notice the fine details that the lost wax process captures and keeps in the work. Also, we notice it from different vantage points. It's very striking, appealing, and attunes us with the cosmic. No wonder it's a much beloved work, a young and old, in Boston, Massachusetts. And it's great when a work of art can be outdoors and be well known and appeals to everyone, each in their own way, each in their own understanding. And it says, we're here, we're present, this is our place. In a similar fashion, I wanted to show you another work that is doing much the same, but though initially it'll appear very different in its appearance. This is a work by an Inuit artist I mentioned earlier, David Ruben Piqtoukun. Now, David Ruben Piqtoukun was taken at a very young age from his family because he was an Inuit person, as was done with Indigenous persons in Canada. And in a way, he lost a lot of his childhood in that experience. And the great law of compensation by the perpetrators, or the exactors of that removal, is still being worked out. Now, it's entitled People of the Midnight Sun, and it dates from 2017. And it's wide-ranging, the way it uses various elements of the Temple of the Earth. It has Brazilian soapstone, but also black pearl stone. There's red pipestone and the steel frame. And it has a height of approximately 213.4 centimeters. And it's owned by the Art Gallery of Ontario in Toronto, Canada. Now, in some ways, it's a very abstract work. And it should be noted that in Piqtoukun's work, he originally was brought up before he was forcibly removed in a little village in the Western Arctic named Piqtoukun. And in prolific work, David Ruben, he shows spiritual traditions, the stories of the Inuit, centered on, as in all great cultures, by the shaman. Just in our own cultures, the shaman or the mystic is at the heart. And the mystic and the shaman is the great healer. And we're called to that healing through that way of life ourselves. We may initially resist, but it's our birthright and destiny, as symbolized in this work. And part of Piqtoukun's mission in life has been the healing of his people, and of all people, draw back the stories, the traditional teachings of the elders, the work at the center of the shamans. And the red hoop here invokes the midnight sun residing in the Arctic sky for the summer. And the great fiery ball of the sun is still high up in the sky at midnight. And at certain times, centered around the summer solstice, move towards the horizon but does not go below. Also, that hoop frames back-to-back faces representing 150,000 Inuit people living across the Arctic. I show you one face before you, which will go up closer. But also to note the blue metal legs symbolize the unrelenting sunlight in the summer, but also the Arctic Ocean and the inland lakes of the north remain ice cold year round, symbolized through the blue. Let's go in a little closer and see more of this wondrous statuary. You notice the eyes looking very direct, its elongated nose. Intriguingly, there's lots of writing on the face. Let's go in even closer and see if we can discern more of what's there in the face before us. We notice wondrously how the light reflects the red circle of the midnight sun on the face itself, all the more befitting the people of the midnight sun. Now you may be wondering, reading some of the words in the text, and it's very interesting here that inscribed on the face is testimony in English about the Inuvialuit life, particular part of the Inuit land, of two elders from Piqtoukun, traditional lands of the artist, who gave testimony at what's referred to in Canada as the Burger Commission in the mid-1970s. Now it's named after the lawyer and judge Justice Thomas Burger. In his report in 1977 on the feasibility of pipeline projects in the north, marked a new sensitivity to Indigenous views and eventually gave rise to important land claims in the traditional lands of David Ruben. So he wanted a way to show that reconciliation between all peoples. And those two elders talk about their way of life and the nobility and the beauty of it. And it's not something to be imposed or disturbed. It's something for us to live and learn from, just like in this great sculpture. In that sense, I want to show you a related work by David Ruben. It's a work that's entitled The Spirit World of Inuit, dating from 1984, with gray Brazilian stone, ivory, red Arizona pipestone, and black African wonderstone and antler inlay. It's got a height of about 45.6 centimeters and weighs 28.1 kilograms. And you'll see in it the work of the shaman who transforms back and forth between spirit, animal guides, and you'll see the human or bear, the man bear, who has great powers to transverse through walls, through water, journey way off in the cosmos. A great healer of the people, and the shaman extends his strength and his power through the animals, but in a good and deepening way. And we know that Paul Ruben talks about in doing his artworks, he finds himself healed and transformed in the process. If we pull these works together, so we have three images together, you'll see their deep affinity of the face and the combining of a deep spiritual tradition from time immemorial helps attune us with the cosmic. Final work that I want to show you is from Chartres Cathedral. I think many of you have visited. You know, the cathedral itself is modeled after the heavenly Jerusalem spoken in the book of Revelation, the divine city coming to earth in a way writes us of how in our cosmic experience we're to emulate and express the cosmic in our surroundings, just as was shown cosmic expressed on earth to the great cathedrals of northern France, such as Chartres Cathedral. And they had wonderful, on their exteriors, the west facade, the west portals, the the north transept exterior portals and the south transept borders exterior. Tremendous, we worked out system of symbols through sculpture, a wonderful iconographic program. I'll show you a few elements of it that are quite inspiring along our mystical statuary of the world. Here, you'll see before you a depiction of the prophet Balaam, but also the Queen of Sheba in the middle here. And on the right here, King Solomon. Now, these two royal figures would prefigure Mary, the Queen of Heaven, and Christ as King and Lord of the world and the universe. You notice the beautiful draperies of the figure, the attuned and away astonished figure, the Queen of Sheba, a very powerful sovereign figure, a very assertive figure, an exemplary figure that the King of Solomon learned from. It's picked beside her. If we zoom in closer, we'll see the Queen of Sheba, but below, as a Queen of Africa, there's a servant of her that she stands on. Not in an oppressive way, for he has a dynamic action here. You'll see that from the fullness of his face and his strength, you'll see a cup or a vessel, that's got various treasures in it. And also he clasps the neck of a loose sack, which moves across his thigh and his left hip, and bulging appears to be with coins or jewels, as shown here. In a way, here at Chartres Cathedral, they're honoring the African peoples and their wisdom. Now, if we move in a little closer, look at another work of art associated with Chartres Cathedral, we'll see a parallel figure with the Queen of Sheba. She prefigured. We see Mary, Queen of Heaven, and she's holding before us the Christ child, Jesus, whose head is now missing, but it's suggested to us there, he's also holding the book of the law, all naturals and spiritual principles. She's looking down at her child with compassion. The Christ child has had in his hand a benediction for us. It's now been lost, but we get the impression. See the fine and subtle stone carving. If we place the two figures together, I think we'll add the added effect of the Queen of Sheba sculpture to the Queen of Heaven, Mary sculpture, both inspiring spiritual figures for us to help attune with the cosmic. And again, the sculptor, having learned the art and science, stone masonry, specialized in stone sculpture, requiring tremendous training and skill. Just like in our own lives, to come into self-mastery requires our weekly lessons and applications in our career and other means to come into self-mastery. So at this time, before I conclude, I'll ask Karen to paste in the chat for you some resources, and also to upload resources as a PDF document that you may wish to download, and I think you'll find the latter the easiest. So in this sense, by way of conclusion, I'll say, you consider the human visage, hand gestures, and form can be keys to draw forth and realize the presence of the divine within, the master within. We've seen how this urge for illumination has expressed itself through sculpture for the great enrichment of us all, in a remembrance of our true nature. We've considered early stone sculptures of the Buddha, John Wilson's eternal presence, David, Ruben, Piqtoukun's People of the Midnight Sun, and some sculpture at Chartres Cathedral. In this manner, we've experienced how Rosicrucian laws and principles can make a great difference in understanding what appears before us and within us. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us.